Seniors, listen up. If you're refrigerating your potatoes, you could be making a dangerous mistake without even knowing it. What if your refrigerator, that trusty appliance meant to keep food fresh, is actually turning your potatoes into health hazards every single day? Sounds hard to believe, right? After all, we've always been told that refrigeration keeps food safe and fresh. Unfortunately, that's not true for potatoes. Emerging science reveals something very alarming that most people over 60 have never been told. Hidden inside that cold box, an ordinary potato can undergo chemical changes that create toxic compounds and strip away nutrients, all because of the cold. This isn't just about a little loss of flavor or a slight change in texture. We're talking about potentially harmful chemical reactions, nutrient loss, and even the formation of substances linked to serious diseases, all triggered by the simple act of sticking potatoes in the fridge. And here's the scary part. Almost everyone does this without realizing the damage it could be doing to their gut, heart, and even brain over time. Some experts now believe that our well-intentioned habit of refrigerating certain foods, like potatoes, might be quietly contributing to the rise of chronic illnesses in seniors. But today, we're pulling back the curtain and uncovering the real science behind this hidden danger. In this video, we will reveal exactly what happens when you refrigerate potatoes and the simple truth about how to store them safely. We'll break down the surprising chemical changes that occur, the health risks they pose, prepare to be shocked by one particular toxin that forms, and the right way to keep your potatoes so you get all the benefits without the hidden harms. And wait until you hear about the most shocking effect of all. It might just change the way you store food forever. Every point we cover today is backed by scientific research and real studies. In fact, we've included links to all sources in the description below, so you can check everything yourself. We want you to have the facts because your health is too important for half-truths or myths. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments below. Where are you watching from? How old are you? And have you been storing your potatoes in the fridge? Have you ever noticed an odd sweet taste or weird texture after refrigerating them? Share your experience. You might help someone else realize they're not alone. We're reading and responding to every single comment with personalized tips and advice. And if you're new here, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more eye-opening health information tailored especially for seniors. We have plenty of amazing content on the way, and you won't want to miss it. All right, now without further ado, let's get started. Number 3, cold potato, sweet poison. When you put potatoes in your refrigerator, you're unknowingly turning them into sugar factories. Here's something that might surprise you. Cold temperatures cause the starches in a potato to convert into sugar, a process scientists call cold-induced sweetening. It sounds harmless, but it's not. A study from the University of Idaho found that potatoes stored at typical fridge temperatures showed nearly a 300% increase in sugar content within just 2 weeks. Yes, you heard that right. Triple the sugar in just 14 days of refrigeration. Now, this isn't just about making the potato taste strangely sweet, though it does. Have you ever noticed an odd, slightly sweet flavor or a gritty feeling in your mashed potatoes or fries? That's the cold damaging the potato at a molecular level. Those extra sugars don't belong there, and they wreak havoc on both taste and texture. Cold temperatures break down the potato cell walls, turning a once fluffy, hearty potato into a mealy, grainy lump. Your famous mashed potatoes end up tasting off, and you might have blamed yourself or the cooking, but the real culprit was the fridge quietly sabotaging your spuds. But the real danger of all this excess sugar hasn't even been revealed yet. What happens when you cook a potato that's loaded with extra sugar? It sets the stage for something truly dangerous, a chemical reaction that can produce a toxic compound in your food. We'll get to that in just a moment, and it's something every senior should know about. Think about it. A potato is meant to give you energy and nutrients, not act like a candy bar. By refrigerating it, you're essentially turning a healthy vegetable into a sugary time bomb. Most people have no idea this is happening. The refrigerator is supposed to preserve food, but for potatoes, it's doing the opposite. It's quietly ruining them from the inside out. So if you've been tossing potatoes in the fridge, hoping to extend their life or keep them fresh, you're actually doing more harm than good. And the worst part? The stage is being set for an even more alarming effect once you start cooking those potatoes. Before we move on to the next point, brace yourself. We've talked about sugar, but that sugar is just fuel for a much more sinister process. In the next section, we'll reveal how those sweetened, refrigerator-aged potatoes can turn into a source of something that might be carcinogenic. It's a serious health warning, and it's coming up next. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss this. Part 2. Number 2. The toxic transformation. Acrylamide alert. Now let's talk about that sinister process we just hinted at. When all that excess sugar, created by refrigeration, meets high cooking temperatures, it triggers a chemical reaction that produces acrylamide, a name you might not know, but definitely should. Acrylamide is a toxic compound, and here's why it's so frightening. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies acrylamide as a probable human carcinogen. In plain English, that means scientists believe acrylamide can cause cancer in humans. This is the same nasty substance found in cigarette smoke and industrial chemicals. You do not want it on your dinner plate, yet by refrigerating your potatoes and then baking, roasting, or frying them, you could be generating acrylamide in your food without realizing it. How does this happen? Inside the potato, the cold-induced sugars react with an amino acid called asparagine when exposed to high heat, like when frying or baking. This reaction, part of what's known as the Maillard reaction, creates that golden brown color and tasty crust we love on fries and roast potatoes. But it also creates acrylamide as an unwanted byproduct. And the more sugar in the potato, remember, refrigeration just crammed it with sugar, the more acrylamide gets produced. Here's a startling example. Scientists at the University of California, Davis observed that potatoes stored in the fridge, when cooked, had significantly higher acrylamide levels than potatoes stored at room temperature. In other words, the fridge to frying pan potatoes turned into little toxin factories, while pantry-stored potatoes had far less of this harmful chemical. Another study in Europe found similar results. Cold storage can more than double the acrylamide produced during frying. For seniors who are often already fighting health battles, this is an extra risk you simply don't need. In fact, even the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has issued guidance on this. They advise against refrigerating raw potatoes because it leads to more acrylamide during cooking. Think about that. A government agency felt it was important enough to warn people about how a potato is stored. Why does acrylamide matter so much? Studies have linked high doses of acrylamide to nerve damage and cancer in animal tests. Let's bring this to a real-life perspective for a moment. Meet Mary, a 70-year-old grandmother and one of our viewers, who was proud of her homemade potato wedges. Mary always kept her raw potatoes in the fridge because she thought it made them last longer. She had no idea that this habit was undermining her efforts to cook healthy meals. Over time, she noticed her roasted potatoes often had a slightly burnt taste and darker color, but she shrugged it off. Then she learned, much like you are right now, about the acrylamide problem. Mary was horrified. The thought that she might have been inadvertently serving a potentially carcinogenic substance to her grandkids was a tough pill to swallow. But here's the good news. Mary took action. She stopped refrigerating her potatoes and started storing them properly in a cool, dark pantry. She also adjusted her cooking by not over-browning the potatoes. The result? Her potatoes tasted better, no weird aftertaste, and she felt a huge sense of relief. She even shared what she learned with her friends at the senior center, making sure no one else would unknowingly make the same mistake. Mary's story is a powerful reminder. It's never too late to change a habit and protect your health. If you've been refrigerating your potatoes for years, you're definitely not alone. Most people do it thinking it's right. But now that you know what it can lead to, you can make a simple change to drastically reduce your acrylamide exposure. It's an easy fix with potentially life-saving benefits. Now we've covered the sweetness and the toxin, but believe it or not, there's still one more huge consequence of putting potatoes in the fridge, and it might be the most surprising of all. It's something that defeats the whole purpose of trying to keep food fresh in the first place. We're talking about wasting nutrients and food in a way you probably never expected. In just a moment, We'll reveal why refrigerating potatoes can actually make them less nutritious and shorten their usable life, and how that impacts your health and wallet. This final point is a real eye-opener, so stay right there. You won't want to miss it. Part 3. Number 1. Nutrition lost and food wasted. Here's the final kicker. Refrigerating potatoes doesn't even accomplish what you intend. In fact, it does the opposite by robbing the potato of its nutrition and shelf life. It sounds ironic, but by trying to preserve your potatoes in the fridge, you could be making them less nutritious and more prone to spoilage. Potatoes are packed with important nutrients that seniors especially need, like potassium for heart health and blood pressure, vitamin C for immune support, vitamin B6, and fiber. These nutrients make potatoes a wholesome food choice, or at least they should. But when you expose potatoes to cold temperatures for long periods, you risk diminishing some of these benefits. Some research suggests that refrigeration can actually speed up the natural breakdown of certain vitamins in potatoes. The end result? You might get fewer vitamins from a refrigerated potato than from one stored properly at slightly warmer temp. Moreover, consider what often happens to those refrigerated potatoes. Many end up with a weird color or texture, or start developing soft spots from trapped moisture. So you end up throwing them away. What a waste, not just of money, but of good nutrition that could have been on your plate. With proper storage, potatoes can last for weeks or even months, but in the fridge, their quality can start to degrade in just a couple of weeks, or even days once you remove them to room temperature. The cold essentially stresses the potato out, so it doesn't keep well afterward. There's also the issue of moisture and mold. Refrigerators are humid environments. If your potatoes are in a plastic bag or airtight container in the fridge, condensation can build up. A damp potato is a breeding ground for mold. Ever pulled out a potato with fuzzy spots? That's mold, and it can produce invisible toxins that make you sick. Even if you cut off the moldy part, the potato might not be safe. By refrigerating, you increase the chance you'll end up tossing out spoiled potatoes, losing food and possibly risking nearby items in your fridge too. Let's not forget about sweetening. If you're concerned you can't use your potatoes before they spoil, you might wonder about freezing them. Freezing raw potatoes usually doesn't work. They can turn grainy or black, but you can freeze potatoes after cooking or blanching them. However, that's a topic for another day. For everyday purposes, it's far simpler to store them in a cool pantry as we described. You'd be amazed how one rotten potato can turn a whole bag bad. The bottom line? By following these storage tips, you're ensuring that your potatoes stay nutritious, safe, and delicious. When you cook them, they won't have that weird sweetness or grittiness. They'll brown properly, giving you that lovely golden color and flavor without turning into little toxin factories pumping out acrylamide. And you'll get all those vitamins and minerals to support your health. So what's the solution? The good news is it's very simple. Never refrigerate raw potatoes. Instead, store them the way our parents and grandparents often did, in a cool, dark, dry place outside the fridge. The ideal storage temperature for potatoes is around 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, about 7 to 10 degrees Celsius. Now, most of us don't have a thermometer in our pantries, and that's okay. Basically, you want a place that's cooler than typical room temperature, but not as cold as the fridge. A basement, cellar, unheated pantry, or even a garage in a mild climate can work. If you don't have a spot that cool, just use the darkest, coolest corner of your kitchen. The darkness is key because, as we mentioned, light causes potatoes to turn green. Sweetening alert. A cupboard or pantry shelf works fine. Just keep them out of sunlight and away from heat sources. Put your potatoes in a breathable container. For example, use a paper bag, a burlap sack, a mesh basket, or a cardboard box with some holes in it. This allows air to circulate and prevents moisture buildup. Never store potatoes in a sealed plastic bag or airtight bin. They'll trap moisture and your potatoes will rot or sprout much faster. And remember the pro tip we gave earlier. Keep potatoes away from onions during storage. Onions release gases that can make potatoes spoil faster, and potatoes do the same to onions. If you store them together, they both go bad sooner. So give them some distance. Different shelves or separate bins entirely. Also, don't wash potatoes until you're ready to use them. Washing adds moisture, and moisture is the enemy of long storage. Just brush off any excess dirt and store them dry. Check your stored potatoes occasionally too. If you find one that's starting to sprout or rot, remove it immediately. One bad potato can produce chemicals, like ethylene gas, that cause its neighbors to spoil more quickly. You'd be surprised how quickly one rotten potato can ruin the whole bunch. By following these simple steps, you're ensuring that your potatoes stay as healthy and tasty as possible for as long as possible. Hopeful ending and call to action. Now here's the best part. This is such an easy change to make. Simply move your potatoes out of the fridge and into a cabinet or pantry. Just like that, you've eliminated a hidden health risk from your life. It's a small step that can have a big impact on your health over time. You'll enjoy better tasting meals and peace of mind knowing you're not unknowingly putting something harmful on your plate. Knowledge is power. As we age, maintaining our health comes down to making informed choices, one by one. Today, you made one of those choices by learning about the humble potato and its not-so-humble reaction to cold storage. So next time you see someone keeping their potatoes in the fridge, you can share what you've learned. You might help them avoid health issues and save money on wasted food too. Before we wrap up, we want to hear from you. Which fact about refrigerating potatoes shocked you the most? Did you know about the sugar increase in acrylamide? Or were you more surprised by the loss of nutrients and quicker spoilage?